Welcome, noble friends who are water, to the Love Earth channel. I am Debar. I am a spiritual coach, a citizen journalist, and a truth activist. I invite you along with me to become our own heroes. I provide ideas, information, and guidance to expand our worldview, to fine-tune our critical thinking skills, and to develop our spiritual genius. And when we come back, I will share with you what I have for you this week. Right back after this. Hit subscribe for notifications when new videos are posted. All right, so for this week on the Love Earth channel, I thought about some of the things that have come up this week, over the course of what is expanded over the planet, which is violence and rioting. It wasn't just south of the border, it extended to the UK. It even ended up in, I think was Ontario, and I'm not sure if it was just Toronto or Ottawa or both, but also what's happening in Hong Kong. And the thing that I think that is really, really important for us for right now, for this time, that not just that we're present, but that, from 3 months ago, we were all very much likely in different mindset about what I spoke about last week, which was our personal bias, our the stereotypes that we may have built in, and that it's really important now more than ever for us to let that go, to just release any ideas of separation that we have, if it's about like religion or race or gender politics. All those kinds of things are just important for us to let go and to really think about how to begin embracing all beings of love and light, that we're all in this together. And that it's more than ever, we have to think about what is a spiritual war against us as beings of love and light, that there is a dark force that is out there that does want our spiritual energy because they don't have it. But that's a lot. And I think about the fact that I've been however many decades in the rabbit hole and discovering things and that are not that easy to wrap your head around. But that's why I feel it's so important right now for us to focus on those three areas of our head and our heart and our gut, where is our emotional kind of connection to a lot of things. But it's part of our body. There's this idea that I've sort of focused on the heart because of what's called heart coherence. And coherence is those rhythms and patterns that once combined we are that much more able to heal and to transform ourselves. But it's really like gathering the resonance from the Christ consciousness. And that is where our compassion, our love, our forgiveness is, and that we just become coherent with that frequency of beingness, I guess. Anyway, okay, so like I said, I do not like to keep you because I don't have this show as sort of fine-tuned as I would really like for it to. So we're just going to move right along. So with the critical thinking skills, just kind of briefly overview what we covered so far. And, okay, sorry, I'm just looking at my little screen. So I was going to cover this idea of analyzing, but essentially what we did was break down critical thinking skills into these 5 main areas. And I say we, but we've discussed it a little bit, personal values and how they function in our decision making, how we can use our moral compass to help us evaluate the things that we see and that we hear. And then last week, I thought about what are our blind spots, our shadow selves, our personal biases that, get in the way of our critical thinking. Because they're very much a part of us. So when I thought about analyzing, I feel strongly it's just something that we do. It's very inherent. It's just an almost automatic response that we analyze practically everything that we see and we hear. And, because we're always using it to make the decisions, right? So it's like, if we look outside, we analyze the weather because we're mini scientists. We're geniuses. We're geniuses, people. And, it's like I said, we look outside, we see it's raining, we make a decision. We go get our umbrella or, our raincoat, or we think, hey, I just want to be out there and get all wet, which is super cool too on a nice kind of day. It works, right? But so like I said, the analyzing thing, we use it all the time. We just, it's intrinsic, and I don't think that it's necessarily something that we have to think out in any way, shape, or form, because we automatically use it. So that said, on analyzing and our critical thinking skills, let's move on to Tinfoil Hatter's Basics. And what I have here is just, I've always qualified that I don't believe in mainstream media. I believe it's part of what they say, the deep state, which is always directed as, conspiratorial and theoretical, and it falls under this tinfoil hatters thing. But there's also the alternative media, the independent journalists who report things that the mainstream media doesn't report. So for this week, there were some things that came up that, in the discussion of some of my friends that I talked with, that it was about this new king, and we'll get into that another time, new king of England. Then there was something just very, very, very fresh and very recent that I didn't see huge in the news, was the idea of the formation of a new federation of China. Whole other story in itself. But this was, now what I'm going to share with you is a very short clip from, it's called the Highwire. It's on YouTube. They have 40 million viewers who watch this. The host of the show is Bigtree, and he used to be a producer for, it was called The Doctors, and it was on mainstream television, and I think it was CBS. But he made a shift, and he kind of jumped fence to what is the natural medical industry, because he felt very strongly that vaccines were dangerous, that there was too many people experiencing vaccine injuries, and he has taken the pharmaceutical companies to court 3 times, and he's won 3 times. But of course, you don't hear about that very often. But what I wanted to share was this little clip here about the WHO, and he's speaking with an independent journalist who works for the Highwire, Jeffrey Jackson. So anyway, here we go with this little short clip. It's about 3.5 minutes long.
For those of us that have been, in this issue for a very long time, the WHO has been stating over the last couple of years now that the, vaccine hesitancy, the vaccine risk awareness movement is the most dangerous threat to public health. So I think that this statement meant a lot to those of us that have been in this fight. Let's take a listen to this.
Because they have failed to make the requested and greatly needed reforms, we will be today terminating our relationship with the World Health Organization and redirecting those funds to other worldwide and deserving urgent global public health needs.
Pretty amazing statement. The United States of America withdrawing funds from the WHO. We just did an entire show, if anyone hasn't seen it, looking at, I think it was the second week of January, about the meetings that the WHO had behind closed doors, discussing how to try and stop this growth of people questioning vaccines. Many people wondering whether this pandemic was a part of a plan to push an agenda to force vaccinate all of us, and now Donald Trump is stepping down. The WHO, what else is going on? What does this news mean?
Well, on May 18th, Trump put the WHO on notice for a bunch of inconsistencies, the lack of international alarm with the coronavirus, not giving the world community a heads up despite the early warnings from China and from Taiwan. So the U.S., as you saw from that video, the U.S. has withdrawn funds. It's 400 to 500 million per year that they had been giving to the WHO. Now that leaves the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and their vaccine arm, Gavi, Vaccine Alliance, as really the top funders now. There's a couple of, the UK is in there as well, and Germany, but together, Bill and Melinda Gates and the Gavi is number 4, Bill and Melinda Gates number 1. So between those two, you have that going on. So that's a big story. And, further, the WHO flip-flopped on mask wearing. So the WHO came out and gave guidance, and they said, quote, "There is currently no evidence that wearing a mask, whether medical or other types, by healthy persons in the wider community setting, including universal community masking, can prevent them from infection with respiratory viruses, including COVID-19. So here we go.
It's amazing. And as I walked around seeing people in masks and waiting, in some grocery store for someone to come up and say, you're not wearing a mask, and I felt like, have you not seen what the WHO had to say? Now, I don't normally like what the WHO has to say, but when they come our direction, it's quite astounding, really, and it really does make me start thinking, what is going on here? When we think of a plan, right? When we think of is Bill Gates running the world? Certainly Bill Gates didn't want this news out. It doesn't seem like Tony Fauci, that's saying you should wear your mask and social distancing and all the things. And now you have the WHO saying none of that really matters. I wonder, is this on purpose? Is it chaos? I mean, we really cannot. What we do know is that these agencies we trusted, really trusted coming into this, are now all over the map. The science is all over the map. They keep changing their story. We even have shown videos where Fauci said, yeah, a mask doesn't do anything for you just a few months ago. Then now saying, oh, it's really important you wear one. I think it's why more and more people are tuning into the Highwire, right? Because we've been saying all along, we haven't flip-flopped on this. The mask is not good for you. It doesn't do really anything to stop the virus. And now we're being backed up by multiple sources, including the WHO. What else we got?
Right. And keep in mind, too, the CDC is still recommending universal masking. So it's almost like an unintentional gaslighting by these agencies with the information.
If you like that clip, then be sure to check out our live broadcast of the Highwire every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific time. You can watch it on Facebook, YouTube, iTunes, and Twitter. We'll see you there.
All right, so hopefully one day I can get my show to be like that slick. He does have 40 million viewers, and I've listened to a lot of different, videos that he's talked about, the things about like the vaccines and the injuries that they've caused and so on and so forth. But the one thing that he did mention, that word that I think is so important for us to really think about it, is gaslighting, and how really our politicians and, our leaders have just been doing that to us. Think about, like, even in Canada here just recently, I haven't really heard too much about Dr. Tam, mentioning anything about, like, us not having to use these face masks, and it's really become a huge issue. So if you can, please, check it out and just think about it, right? I say think about it. You don't have to do anything that I'm saying. You really don't. It's there for us. But if we don't, become active and really start to check these things out, we're not going to find out. That's my point. Anyway, okay, so let's move on to our spiritual boot camp. And for this week, I just kind of, I guess I was just thinking about wisdom. And so I don't have a lot prepared like I have, in other episodes, but I just wanted to kind of go through a little short meditation on wisdom. So it's just thoughts, and it's just sharing thoughts. So I'm just going to give us a second, just, breathing in, breathing out, all that. Here we go. So we're breathing in again. And we'll breathe out. And we think about wisdom. Wisdom that is a quality that expands as we gather experience, as we gather knowledge, and as we gather insight. And it is what we use to judge. That we learn to speak with fewer words. We speak less harshly. We judge less harshly. Wisdom helps us to be gentle, or it helps us to be firm when we need to be. Wisdom helps us walk with grace. It helps us to understand our beingness as water. It helps us to understand our role that is in coherence with infinite awareness. So we'll breathe in and we'll breathe out. And we'll come back to center. We're present. We're grounded in our crystal logos. Our crystal logos, where is our power, our strength, our truth, our wisdom, our love, our life, our substance, and our divine creator, our God, our life force, whatever you call it. And that, my friends, is all for this week. I hope that, things have been going well for you. And I know that it's hard. There's a lot of things going on right now, and we're going to have to be making decisions. But that's why I want to do this. I want to help those who find their way to this channel to learn how to be their own heroes, to be their own spiritual warriors, to learn how to, use their divine will and to understand their sovereignty as divinely sovereign beings, as co-creators with the divine creator. So, for this week, signing off. Until next week, my noble friends who are water. The message, love, 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 carry it with you. Carry it with you. Later.